Maccabeestv TV, it's your brother Priest Danyaahla, and I'm here with a very, very special guest today. Sitting here is none other than my brother Officer Yashar, and we have Officer Yashar come through today because Officer Yashar is going to be able to answer a lot of the questions that we get in the Healthy Hebrews group. So without any further ado, Brother Yashar, introduce yourself.
How you doing? I'm Yashar Karash. I'm with Lions of Israel. I've been in the industry. I've been training since I was about 8 years old, different things and stuff like that. I'm a graduate of the Cincinnati Academy of Physical Education. It's a school specifically made to turn athletes into professional athletes, or at least be able to coach that. I also attended the University of Cincinnati, and I work with some of the top trainers in the world, for myself and also just to get education.
Okay. Well, what type of clients do you currently train right now?
Right now, I'm interested in training athletes who are, trying to prepare to play in professional sports. One of my clients just graduated from Penn State. I trained him since he was 15 years old, and now he's getting ready for the NFL. Back in 2014, he set the state record for New Jersey in indoor track and field, setting all the indoor sprints. He set the record for the state of New Jersey. So, and that was under my tutelage. We trained for about 2 months for that, but I trained him on other things like agility and any other thing that he needed for football.
Okay, so now, what separates you as a personal trainer from the average personal trainer? Like, if I was to walk up into 24-hour fitness right now, and I meet one of the personal trainers there, and I pay him to train me for 6 months, what separates a trainer like that, that pretty much goes and gets a NASM certification or ACE certification, and yourself that has a little bit of a further education in that field? What separates you from them? Is there really a difference?
It's a major difference. The certification that you get, that is important, because it's a base. But there's a lot of different certifications out there. The way that it's set up, there's 9 top certifications, and these are the certifications that most notable or credible establishments, they want you to have these. That's not necessarily the most important thing, and I always said that, and a lot of my colleagues that are in the business, they say the same thing, because a lot of people that are coming out of these schools, they don't have the correct information. What they're doing is they're basically, they're taking a test, they study for it, they cram for it, and then they come out with information, just enough information to pass the test. They don't understand, they don't have their own theories, they don't know the application. A lot of people go into gyms, and sometimes what they do is, let's say that you're a bodybuilder, and there's a specific type of training for bodybuilding. We call it hypertrophy training, because this is where guys they do a certain amount of reps with a certain amount of weight, and then they get this swelled look, they look real big. Now, a lot of people use this same technique for people who are athletes. And that's not really the appropriate approach, because athletes have to be more agile, they have to be more explosive, they have to have a lot more power and flexibility. Now, there is a misconception that bodybuilders are not flexible, and that's not actually true, because some of the top bodybuilders are more flexible than your top athletes.
I've seen like Kai Green. You familiar with Kai Green? Yeah, you could be doing handstand splits. Anyway, well, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens a lot of times is when you go into these gyms and people are saying that they're personal trainers, they're doing pretty much the same thing that you can do. I generally tell my clients, if there's something that, sometimes I have clients where I set a program for them, and this is one where I'm not with them all the time. If they're in the gym and they're doing an exercise, generally what I tell them to do is watch the women, not like ogle the women, but I tell them to watch the women, because the women don't, they tend to not be as focused on how much weight they're moving. They focus on how they're moving the weight. And that's one of the biggest problems with people and stuff, and so that's why they lack strength. There's something called a concentric and an eccentric portion of an exercise. And people, when they don't understand that, you see a lot of guys picking up weights and they slam them. Guys that are doing deadlifts incorrectly and stuff, they pick the weight up and then they slam it back down. And then the next week you see them with the same weight or something just a little bit heavier. My athletes, they tend to go up, by 10 to 25 pounds, on even something as simple as a chest exercise. You know, I have a guy right now that's getting ready for the NFL has a league. It's kind of like a minor league system for the NFL. And Tom Brady's his agent is going to be the CEO. And so I have a high school student who's just graduated out of high school, and I have taken him from 165 pounds to 212 pounds right now. And next to me, he is the strongest person in the gym. Now the guys in the gym are a lot bigger than me and him, you know, but he is the strongest. This is a guy that can, you know, he can run, you know, a mile, you know, with no problem. And when he gets done, you know, his heart recovers quickly. He can go and he can strap on a 45-pound weight, and he could do, you know, pull-ups with that, you know, saying in sets of 12, you know, saying, or more if I ask him, you know. And we do a lot of sets, you know, a lot of times just to keep his endurance up. But we do a lot of power and speed exercise too, you know. So a lot of personal trainers that are in the gym, well, they call themselves personal trainers, and I don't call myself really a personal trainer. I call myself, well, the term I like to use is advanced athletics trainer, you know, and that's a little bit different, because that's kind of like, that's my lane, you know what I'm saying. Athletes is something that I prefer to deal with, because I was an athlete myself, and a lot of people that are training athletes, they were never athletes, or they were never good athletes. I was a sprinter, you know, I was a top sprinter. You know, so I wasn't one that was running, you know, I wasn't running 40s and 4.5 and 4.6 like a lot of some of the NFL athletes and stuff. I was running under 4.3s, you know, so consistently. And the athletes I train them and I teach them the things that I learned. And I learned from people who were capable of doing that. But you know, like I said, I went to the Cincinnati Academy of Physical Education, and the education that I learned there, physics of sport, you know, is something that a lot of people don't tend to use right now. You know, maybe on the pro levels they use it, but in your gyms, this is not something that you're going to see. So you see a lot of people using a lot of exercises like plyometrics. You know, some people do step into the plyometrics on a basic level, but they don't really understand it. And some people are doing it that don't need it. You know, I see a lot of people in there doing side bends with weights and stuff like that. A lot of girls doing that. That's something that you're not supposed to be doing. You know, if you're preparing, you know, for MMA, you want to fight, yeah, okay, that's something that you might want to use. But these oblique muscles don't actually work like that. You know, so if you don't have an understanding of that, then you'll be in there doing something that's not beneficial for your body.
All right. So, question, right? If, you know, people when they go to the gym, the average person that's watching this, obviously they're not athletic. They're just regular people that might want to go to the gym for whatever reason. So let's just say that you have a client that comes in and they tell you that they want to lose weight. So what type of exercises would you have them do, and what type of nutrition would you have that person, nutritional plan would you have that person follow?
Well, it's not that, it's not really that cookie cutter solution. You know, one regimen is not going to really apply to every individual person. It depends on what the person's needs are. Like, I tend to ask people, like, what is it that they're really looking for? Like, if they're looking for a certain body type. Sometimes I tell them to cut out magazines or bring in pictures of a person's body type that they actually like. And so some people say, hey, I'm already, you know, a big guy, I just want to lose weight because I got muscle up under here. Yeah, you do have muscle up under there, but, you know, if you want to turn around and look like The Rock, you know, because you're sitting there, you're 350 pounds, that's a different process. You know, so it's not cookie cutter. You know, it depends on what the person actually needs. And if it's just for somebody who just wants to lose weight, they don't have, you know, a goal of being muscular and stuff like that, one of the best exercises, and really the only real true exercise is walking. You know, so that's something that I would give. And then you want to structure the diet. So if the diet is correct, you know, and then they have something as simple as exercise, you're going to live a lot longer by doing that, you know, as opposed to going in and doing stuff with weights. Okay,
next question. What percentage of your muscle mass does your legs comprise, of your muscles? And how important is leg exercise in proportion to seeing results in the rest of your body? I don't know if I asked the question the right way, but
yeah, well, 75% of your weight is you know, that is determined by your legs. It's supposed to be. It should be. Most guys, if you see them in the gym, their legs are the weakest part of them. Legs are the easiest part of the body to train, and legs are the easiest part of the body to train, and if you actually really want to be strong and you want to be balanced, you want to focus on the legs. The legs respond faster. Squats is something that I recommend, that you want to do. When you're doing squats, you're working 244 muscles, and so that's a real good foundation for you to have, whether you're an athlete, or even if you're just somebody that just wants to get in shape and you want to be balanced. What a lot of people fail to realize is that you see a lot of guys going to the gym and they do a lot of bench press. They're constantly benching. Every time that you see them, I see guys when I go into the gym, and I go into the gym with clients, I'm in there, at least 5 days a week. I see guys that are in there and they're benching 5 days a week. And they're always trying to bring up their bench press. And sometimes they go up, maybe 2.5 pounds. And then sometimes they're still at the same weight. One of the reasons that they're always like that is because they don't do legs. The legs control your upper body growth because the body, is about symmetry. And so the legs are, are foundation. So if you're interested in getting stronger on your upper body, you want to actually train your legs.
Okay. Another misconception that's out there, and you hear it from females all the time, and I know you hear it as well. A lot of women don't want to lift weights because they say they don't want to look like a man. So I want you to address that, because that's a huge misconception, and they're missing out on a lot of really good exercises that will help them reach their goals by not lifting weights. So go into that real quick.
Yeah, one of the reasons that women are inaccurate in that assumption is because the male body has testosterone. Testosterone is a building block for the muscle. Women have testosterone also, but they have less testosterone than men. They have more estrogen. And one of the things about that is women thinking that they're going to get these big bodies, when they start working out, they tend to not have enough testosterone to put their bodies into that bulky look that they're thinking that they're going to get. Now, you do have situations where you can use hypertrophy training, and you will get this bulky kind of look. So it's about controlling your rep range and also the weight that you're using so that you stay down. But it's really a good idea for a woman to do exercise with weight to get faster results. It's just about having the right trainer and knowing exactly what rep range to use and what weight to use. I have seen personal trainers that give it to a lot of different people, and there's different certifications out there. Like there's a silver sneaker certification for training seniors and stuff. Mm-hmm. Now I've seen people who don't have that and they don't know that, and they're using techniques on seniors or weights that they're not supposed to be using. They give them a weight that's too heavy. There's a simple eye test that a trainer should be able to do to know, like if I was training you or if I was training anybody else, I can look at a person and I can tell them to pick up a weight to do a certain amount of reps, and I can determine their strength level from how they move that weight. So if you're moving a weight and you can't do 8 reps, then that's generally too heavy if you're just somebody that's trying to get in shape. Now if you're doing powerlifting, there's a rep range for that. So it's completely different. So it really depends on what your goal is, and also there's a lot of other factors that come into it, like age, plays a part in that. Flexibility, which is really important and stuff. Because as we get older, we start to generally lose a lot of mobility. And so if the personal trainer is not in tune with those things, they can make a mistake and they can hurt you.
Right. In the future, on Maccabeestv TV, I'm looking forward to, and hopefully you'll put together a couple of PowerPoint presentations maybe on exercise and health, etc. And maybe we can present that, because it is, we all know that our people, we're number one in just about every illness and ailment that there is. And so, this is something that we need. I'm saying? This is a part of, I always say knowledge of health is a part of knowledge of self. That's my personal phrase that I always have. You can't say that you are enlightened if you're physically sick and not trying to do anything about it. So that's just very, very important. So we're going to pretty much close out. If there's is there any other things that you want to address as far as things that you think that might be out there that are misconceptions that people have when it comes to exercise? For somebody at home that's watching this, that's thinking about, because unfortunately, we're Israelites, right? But we're Israelites, but we're still in America. So even though we know that January 1st is not the New Year's, at the end of the day, I even see Israelites saying, this January, this New Year, I'm going to go into the gym. So talk to somebody out there that's about to go into the gym now, that doesn't have you as a resource, and that probably won't be hiring one of the personal trainers at New York Sports Club because they're expensive. They're just going to go in there. They're going to work out themselves. What resources can they use, or where should they start if they don't know what to do?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of websites out there that have good information. Bodybuilding.com, is one of the most common ones that they use. That's not the one that I generally go to, but for beginners, they have a lot of good information on there. They have a lot of articles.
My very first workout.
For your very first
what should I do?
Workout,
legs, arms? What should I do?
I see people go in and they try and hit the whole body, and that's a bad idea. Walking in the treadmill, it's really like you want to introduce your body to exercise. You don't want to go in and immediately jump on the weights and stuff like that. I always start out with body weight exercises, like I would do, squats on my own without weight. I would do push-ups and stuff like that. Pull-ups. Pull-ups is a very good exercise for you to do. The true test of strength, especially for you men out there, is actually pull-ups. It's not bench press. So all the guys are thinking like, oh, I can bench press 500 pounds and that's good. Most guys can't pull up their own weight. So if you can do a pull-up, that is a real test of strength. But the most important thing would be to start off gradually and not just run in there and think like, oh, in high school I used to bench press this much, and then you think you're going to start off, at 225 and you just go toss that on the bar. Start out easy, and I would add the cardio in first. That's, you want to get the cardiovascular system healthy, before you start any type of exercise. You want to warm up the body. That's a whole different interview. If you don't warm up the body, I see a lot of athletes that have had their career shortened because they don't understand, stretching.
33018, phlebotomist. 33018, phlebotomist. 33018.
Hey, we here seeing my gun, y'all. In case y'all know, we here in the hospital seeing my gun. So listen, man, this is live TV right here. Let's go.
Warming up the body takes about 7 minutes to warm up and 7 minutes for the body to cool down. A lot of people don't understand that basic concept. In order for you to get the most out of your workout, the thing that is most essential is the warm-up, and is also the exercise that you do. For a lot of guys that are athletes, or that boxing fans, if you remember people like Kevin Garnett when he played basketball, he came out at the beginning of the game and he was full of sweat. He was lathered up. He was loosened up. He was warmed up. Mike Tyson, before he came out, he was already ready to go, and he was lathered up. A lot of people start out and their warm-up is not sufficient enough for their muscles to be able to perform. Prime example, players like Michael Vick used to get hurt a lot. He would always have a hamstring injury. We have had people...
Respiratory therapy, 37165 stat. Respiratory therapy, 37165 stat. Respiratory therapy, 37165 stat.
I'm not going to go into but there's a ton of athletes that have their career shortened. At age 35, an athlete is actually, he should be at his peak. A lot of athletes and a lot of people, that were never athletes, they start telling you that you are at your decline. Your muscles are at their largest at that time, and you should be able to destroy a lot of people that are coming in that are a lot younger. It is something that is talked about and debated, and I personally believe that because at age 35, I was doing things in the gym that other people weren't doing, and they couldn't do. And there were younger guys in there. There were guys, that were comparable to my age, but I was at a level that was so high for them. And there was guys that trained me that were at levels that I still haven't attained today. And these guys were in their 30s. They were a lot stronger. I've seen guys, that are bench pressing 500 pounds like it's nothing, and they're squatting. We used to do these squats that, where we sit in this machine, and you get in the machine, you're upside down. And the guy who trained me would sit in that machine and put 1,000 pounds on it, and then he would put the other trainer that trained me, who was 250, and Matt would sit on the top of the machine, and then my trainer would push him, and he would do sets of 10 with that. And these guys were in their 30s, and those are the guys, those are some of the guys that I learned from. So the most important thing that we would do in order to have the best benefit, it was the warm-up. And so if you don't know how to warm up correctly and you know what parts of the body you should be warming up the body part that you're getting ready to work out. So if you're doing chest, there's a specific way to warm up chest, you know, and there's a specific way to do shoulders, warm up shoulders. A lot of guys get off the bench press and you see them doing stuff like this. Well, part of that is because of the warm up, you know what I'm saying? The other part is not understanding the 75 principles for bench press, you know, that you should be doing when you're doing bench press.
You just said 75 principles for bench press?
Well, there's
That's
a whole bunch of things that you're supposed to do. If I can give you just like you know, the basic, you know, some of the basic 5.
I didn't know I knew because you told me before, but before I met you, I never heard that.
Right.
I just heard, man, just 90-degree angle and go back up.
And that's kind of right, but what you actually have to do is each person, when they bench press, it's a little bit different. They have to find where they're comfortable, their comfort level on the bar. So some people, like myself, I'm like tricep dominant, you know. So my chest is strong, but it's not as strong. The chest is lazy. It's a major group. So the chest actually doesn't get involved initially when you start benching. The smaller muscles actually get involved, and then if the load is too heavy, then the chest decides to jump in. And so my arms, my triceps are so strong that, you know, I can do skull crushers with, you know, 225 pounds, you know, free weight, you know, and I can just do those. That's because my triceps are strong. Now the chest, it won't do a whole lot. So generally after I do workouts, I have to really do an extensive workout for my chest to get in it after my triceps are fatigued, or I fatigue them first, you know. So that's something that you could do. But what you want to do on the bench, the 90-degree angle is kind of important, you know, but it depends on the person. You know, somebody's tricep dominant, they might have a grip that's a little bit closer, but you want to have a grip that's a little bit more than shoulder width, and it also depends on your height. So guys that, you know what I'm saying, like 6 feet and up, you know what I'm saying, their arm length is a little bit more. So when you bring it down, yeah, you're going to have that 90-degree angle, but some guys bench like this. Yeah. That's the problem, you know what I'm saying, because then you start bench pressing with your anterior deltoids. If your anterior deltoids get in, they'll get overloaded, and then that's going to create a problem. You know, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that the pressure is on the chest, and then you want to make sure that it comes across, you know, the nipple line, the bar comes down. But it's all in your setup initially. So most guys get down and they don't set up correctly. So the proper setup is actually to bring your shoulder blades back together and then bring your traps up. And they lock out. And the traps are important because they're actually supporting the smaller groups, like your shoulders. And then you're going to create a suspension. So a lot of guys that, you know, bench heavy, they squeeze the bar. You know, so you want to create a strong connection with the bar, and some guys are actually strong enough to bend that bar. And so that's how they actually create a suspension, and then they bench correctly, and then the chest will get involved, and it'll bench with everything else, you know, the way that it's supposed to.
Now, I know you said, and I'm going to let the elder come in because he has a question, but I know you've said to me many times, which I've heard it before, but you've drove it home for me, that a lot of your bench press is in your legs as well.
Yeah, well, you want to. I see guys lifting their legs up because they're acting like they want to get more of a concentration on their chest and stuff like that, and they lift them up. You know, they have them in the air, and you see guys doing stuff like that, and you really don't want to do that. You don't need to do that. There's different ways to bench, you know, to put more concentration on your chest, but you should have a stable foundation from your feet, and it should flow up from your feet, you know, and up through that way. So that's. And you got to have a nice arch, you know, in your back. Some guys have problems arching their back and stuff like that. But yeah, your feet should be planted firm.
Okay, go ahead, Zahab.
All right, I got a question. What advice would you give for brothers who don't have a lot of time? Like, what kind of workout regimen or advice you give for brothers? Like in the morning time when they get up, I hear you talk about you have to really warm your body up. But what about people who don't have time? They just get up in the morning, they just do some they want to do some push-ups just to get the blood going. And then after work, they come home, they tired, they got to deal with all the stress of life. What kind of workout regimen or advice would you give to people like that?
You can do, there's simple workouts at home that you can do. You can work out before you go to bed. It's good to work out in the morning, you know, doing like light workouts and stuff like that. That's like that's an Asian practice. You know, in Japan, something that they do. You see a lot of the upper echelon, they come down and they work out, and they do jumping jacks and stuff like that. So you'll get fresh blood up to the brain, and you'll actually be more alert. So that, you know, especially if you got a job where you drive or you have to think, you know, you want to do stuff like that. But I tend to do workouts, you know what I'm saying, a few hours before I go to bed, not directly before I go to bed, and maybe like 5 hours or something like that before I go to bed, and when I don't have time for the gym. And then you can do your push-ups. You can do your push-ups, you know what I'm saying, the simple sets, you know, 4 sets of 10, you know, do stuff like that, build yourself up to 4 sets of 15, 4 sets of 20, 4 sets of 25. You want to do body weight squats. You know, body weight squats is something, you know what I'm saying, good for you. If you do your push-ups correctly, then they actually will benefit the back, you know, too. I kind of learned that on the fly from seeing myself on camera one time, and I saw my back, and I said, okay, who is that guy? You know, and I realized it was me. But you want to make sure that you're not doing push-ups and just dropping down to the floor and working on pushing up, you know, on the concentric. You want to work on the eccentric, which is the negative motion coming down. And that slow motion, you have an agonist and antagonist muscles. So while one muscle is working, the other muscle is working too, if you do it correctly.
I got a question. I saw some videos that said the cable crossover from below, not across, not having your arms at shoulder weight crossing over. From below is better for your chest than even doing bench press.
Well, it depends on what you want. If you want strength, no. If you want size, yes. Yeah, but you can do, you know, I do flies like this sometimes, you know what I'm saying, and I have the cables this way, and I come down and bring it that way. Those are angles, you know, and so if you watch some of the great bodybuilders, when you go back, you know, even the bodybuilders of today, you know what I'm saying, which are great bodybuilders, so I can't take anything away from them, they deal with angles. You know what I'm saying? So all of those different angles, you know what I'm saying, you want to shock the body because it's a little bit more difficult for you to take weight this way. Now this way, if you're taking weight here and you're doing flies here, then that tends to get your anterior deltoids involved. And so that's why people are talking about, you know, bringing it, you know, up from here and stuff. But the different angles, you just change the weight. So if you do a lighter weight, you know, you're still going to have, you know, benefit and stuff. But if you're trying to go for strength and power, then no, that's not what you want to use, and you probably shouldn't even be using those exercises, especially if like you're a boxer. You know, you want to do real lightweight if you do those, but you're not going to be doing, if you're training for a powerlifting competition, then that's not, you know, that, what people tend to do is they build more muscle to be able to recruit more muscle fibers, and so it's good for that reason. But for hardcore strength, you know, that's heavy weight, that's free weights, you know, not the cables.
So we appreciate you coming on Maccabees, Yashar. I'm pretty sure the comment boards are going to light up. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of questions, so you're going to have to come back. And next time what we'll do is that if anybody that's watching this video, if you have any questions for the brother, put it in the comment section. And the next time that I have the brother on, he's going to address any questions you have as well as come with some other information that he wants to share. All right? So with that being said, once again, this is Maccabeestv. This is your brother, Priest Danyaahla. You know what I'm saying? Lions of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. I got Advanced Athletic Trainer Officer Yashar. I got Captain Tahan right there as well. We say peace and shalom. We here visiting our brother Magun, and I'll see y'all the next show. Shalom.